I already talked extensively, I think, about the ruling, and I can take a few questions if anybody has questions about what we're up to, but we knocked down the marijuana law in 90 days. The next part is on Wednesday we were in court. They got what's called an interlocutory motion, and we fought them on it. The odds of winning are high, or the odds of us winning were very low, and the odds of the Crown getting it were almost assured, but he seemed nervous himself. The interlocutory motion is all written by tobacco case law, go figure. Like, if you look it up, it's all tobacco case law. It's RJR McDonald is the case. It's impossible to read, but the injunction laws in Canada are written by the tobacco company who was trying to overturn a case where they had lost whether or not they could put ads in the new tobacco law ads that they were fighting. They sought an injunction on it and they won. They ultimately lost that appeal, but they won the injunction. So I'm exempt from the medical marijuana, or exempt from the marijuana laws. I can grow my own. I can possess my own marijuana. We have 22 witnesses. We're still trying to get into the medical marijuana program. The judge found that 22 people clearly couldn't access the program and should be able to access the program. That's our big step now. And a couple weeks ago we had Health Canada in a little room. Felt like they were negotiating their surrender. It was like, all right, just start negotiating your terms and I'll be prepared to accept them. One of the questions that came out of this was not only the changes that they're going to create in the medical marijuana program, which won't affect me, by the way. It won't have anything to do with my case. The changes that Health Canada has announced have nothing to do with me. They'll actually be the result. If we win all the way and we knock down the marijuana law and they got 90 days, they will have this in the can ready to go if it's not already the law. So we're going to have to start all over again. So you can see what's going on there, right? But that's the ruling. And as I said, I'm through the gate. I'm doing well myself. We're working on trying to get our 22 witnesses access. Health Canada has provided us some details. They basically said, go talk to the minister. We said, well, you know, who in the minister's office should we talk to? And they came out with the end, they concluded with simply with, here's a name, and they're ready to accept our 22 witnesses. Whether or not they too are given a special minister exemption until the trial's over, we're not sure, but we believe we have great grounds to do that. So that's one way we're going to keep the pressure up on the Mernagh ruling until November. And the second area is that we're preparing to potentially take them to federal court and sue them on behalf of 22 Canadians. And we're just going to do that on their behalf. Without those 22 people, there is no me, there is no ruling. And I'm witness 23, so there's 22 and then I'm the 23rd. So we're going to just keep doing that. I have Libby Davies who's going to help us also put pressure on the minister to try and get this done, because the judge found that they should be in the program, and it's just unfathomable that they're not. So that's our next phase in this court case, besides getting to the appeal. The feds appealed the ruling. A week later I got served. Literally I was like, hey Matt Mernagh, here you go. I'm like, huh? We were expecting you. And he's like, what? I'm like, oh, the Crown called to get my address correctly. He's like, what's your address? And I'm like, this, and this. He's like, just so you know, we're appealing. I'm like, oh, okay, well. And then he congratulated me. Congratulations, but just so you know, we're going to appeal. What's your address again? I'm like, oh, here it is. Here you go. Sure enough, later that night, and it was like a one-page, he could have like done it at any time. So that's the best we've gotten the government to do, is they wanted to appeal. They didn't want to do anything proactive until recently, where they announced all these major changes, and they then say it's not because of the pending litigation. Well, of course not. They can't come to Court of Appeal and say, hey, look, we made changes to the program now. They can't do that, but they can do it to the guy behind me who's trying to use my ruling to their advantage. So there's some deep concerns about they're going to tie us up in appeal while they get their program all together. So it could be interesting, as I could get through the appeal, I could win the appeal, I can win at the Supreme Court of Canada, get through everything, be a victor, and they could have a program in place in 90 days. So we got to make sure that the program looks exactly the way we want it to look, which of course, what ends up happening is, I learned a lot about regulations because they said, we can't possibly get this done in 90 days. Here's the book of regulations. So I spent the last couple of weeks reading how regulations come to be. And it's true, 90 days might not work, especially when you need extensive consult period with a minimum of 30 days and a maximum of 90 days. It's the consult period they should have for any regulation. Health Canada has decided to do 30 days. They were told to do extensive consultations in Mernagh, and they're going to do 30 days. They won't talk to herbalists or naturopaths unless they write letters. They won't talk to you, the Canadian people, unless you write a letter and say, hey, I want consultation time. I want my 15 minutes to talk to you people about what's wrong with your program and how you can fix it for me, the patient. And it's important that unless you involve yourself in the system to some extent, somehow write that letter and get it out to them. So that's how you can help, is you have to write to the Health Canada and tell them, make some changes, and here are my changes I want you to make. I'm going to be working with, I'm going to be working to make sure that I'm consulted, and I've been told I will be consulted. I've also been told to expect to be consulted by the Minister of Health on this issue. And the first thing, of course, I want to tell them, you're going to take my personal production license from my cold dead fist, and not the thing to open with in your letter. Also, don't open with, go fuck yourself, Health Canada. That's probably not going to work. You write that one on a postcard. And their consultations, right, just like, go fuck yourself, Health Canada. And just send your consultation in. So here, this is the next 30 days they're going to consult. And they already have sort of their document online of what it's going to look like. After that 30-day process, oddly enough, it probably look exactly the way they want it to look, because they have to synthesize the consultation, which means you tell us what you want, and then we're just going to create what we want anyways. But we're going to consult you. Then it gets written. It gets published in the Canada Gazette as the first round of regulation. After that, there is a second round of consultations. They don't like to tell you that part. There's a second round that'll happen after they publish the first round. So I've been watching with Jacob Hunter of Why Prohibition, and we're trying to keep coordinating and getting, I'm editing some people's letters that ask. Some of these people say, hey, can you help me edit my letter? And I say yes. I can edit a letter. I can't write letters because they would all sound like me, but I can help you edit your letter if it's short and sweet, which is number one. Keep it short and sweet to 300 words. And again, be polite and insist on what you want. Insist that how you want your access. Insist that if you want to grow, that you want to grow. If you designate growing, maybe their idea of being a big supplier and having commercial grows might be a good idea, because I have a hard time getting around the idea of designating the right to grow to somebody else. But I do believe that you should be able to buy it from a major supplier. The other issue people have brought up to me is, hey, right now I don't pay for OxyContins, or I don't pay for this med, or I don't pay for that med because I'm on a disability, whether it's workers' comp, ODSP, social assistance. Man, that's a good idea. I mean, I started thinking about this idea quickly this morning under how you can help. Maybe there's a provincial election happening in the fall. Chris Goodwin and Aaron Gorman are running for the Freedom Party.
Excellent.
Paper Central tomorrow will be turned into a campaign practice headquarters or something. You're doing a workshop there. So, no, it's important. Like, run for office. Lawson, are you running here? Chris Lawson will be running right in this riding of the Freedom Party. Here's the socialist idea, and it's funny, is that I should get the ounce